OCMEA, we hope you're having a good morning and we hope you've made it to all your classes okay so far. We are studying abroad this semester in Hungary at the Kodály Institute in Kecskemét. And for those of you who don't know us specifically, I'm Kat Templeton.
I'm Becca Mix.
And I'm Amy Jackson.
And Dr. Shaw asked us to answer a few questions for you guys today, just to fill you in on our experience so far and what we think we're getting from this experience in general. So one of the questions he asked was, what is one thing you've learned about Kodály or the Institute since we've been here?
I think that the primary thing we've been exposed to were, firstly, a more in-depth knowledge of Kodály's methodology, obviously, because this is his institution, but that is primarily just that the total musician should embody several qualities, one of which being the ability to sing, and then secondly, the ability to have excellent inner hearing, which comes in two parts, one of which being hearing something and being able to dictate it on a piece of paper, and seeing something on a piece of paper and being able to sing it. And he believes that this sort of training needs to start with the children in the schools using folk songs in their native tongue and with games that are educational and enjoyable and just make the experience fun. And he also believes that this is just a really important facet of the education system, whether that be like a singing school or just a primary school in general, that all children should be singing and experiencing music. The next question he asked was what the music education experience has been like, and what our classes have been like.
So basically, the learning experience here is a little bit different than it is at Capital. I like it a lot. So basically, what we do is we focus a lot on inner hearing and things of that nature. We use a lot of the piano. So like if we're learning in our solfege class, that's mostly like theory and audiation. We'll use the piano a lot. For example, we'll be doing a transposition exercise. So we'll get a harmonic progression and we'll have to transpose it into 7 different keys. However, we can't write these 7 keys down. It has to be all in our head, which really helps us develop our inner hearing, which can help us apply those skills to whether you're playing an instrument, whether you're sight reading, or if you're singing, or you're listening to the people around you in an ensemble. It can really help you with your intonation and things of that nature. So, so it's just a little bit different, but I think it's really great to have in the long run,
And branching off of that, the homework situation is different, we think, in a good way, because as opposed to getting worksheets that you have to turn in for a grade at the end of the semester, we're instead getting assignments to practice before the next class so that we succeed in that next class and so that we are on the road to succeeding at the end of the semester when we do get further assessed, like for more of a grade, so for our successes as musicians in general.
Yeah, and all of our work here is just really centered around developing more musical independence and honing our skills as like total musicians. Yeah. And hopefully having that translated being good educators.
The last question we were asked was, what is the biggest surprise you've had about life in Hungary?
My biggest surprise probably has to be the language barrier. I had traveled prior to getting here in mostly touristy areas that people speak a lot of English in, and coming here to like an English-speaking institution, I just assumed that the area around me would also be able to speak English, which was quite false. And it was a very steep learning curve in trying to communicate with people in a way they understand, and it's been difficult, but it's been working out.
And then the biggest surprise to me was the system of transportation. So as you guys know that how Columbus is set up, there's not really too much public transportation. There's mostly just a bus system, and everything's kind of spread out across the city. But the difference here is that everything's very close together. So if you need to walk to the grocery store or the church or like the market or city hall, anything of that nature, it's usually within like a 15-minute walk. So you don't really need too much public transportation, but if you want to go a little bit further, in Kecskemét there is a bus system, so there's that. But if you go to the big city, which is Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary, then there's like a metro system, there's buses, trams, things of that nature. And to be quite honest, I was a little bit terrified really of just going to a new place and learning different public transportation systems, because I have, of course, like I have a car back home, so that was something new for me, that people don't just drive everywhere. They take a lot of public transportation. So for me, it was very intimidating learning the systems. But then once I arrived in Budapest and then I started traveling around in different cities in Europe, you kind of get a better idea of how it works. It's all very similar. If you just look at the timetable, think about it logically, then you can figure it out. And so, yeah. So now I'm pretty comfortable with that. But yeah.
The biggest surprise for me was actually a pleasant surprise as far as my being able to keep up my diet while I'm here. For those of you who don't know me, I am a vegetarian and I try to stay away from animal products in general when I can. And I really expected to come here and not be able to find very many products in stores without meat in them. And especially not any without animal products in general. And I didn't expect to be able to go out to restaurants with my friends and have a good meal with them. But to my surprise, I have found a vegetarian option at every restaurant I've gone to. I can easily just sit down and have a pleasant meal with my friends. And I've been able to go to the markets and find fresh vegetables and a really great selection of the kinds of things that I would normally eat in America. So that's been really nice for me. However, we have noticed that there are very few fast food restaurants around here, which is much more of a staple in the average college student's diet. So there is one McDonald's in the food court of the local mall and another McDonald's a bus ride away. So that's about it as far as your options go.
No Taco Bell.
And there's no Taco Bell.
No.
And also, if you're up late night studying and just want to go for a fast food run, you can't because things close at about 9, like 8 or 9. So that option is just completely wiped away, and that's been quite the shock for us. But beyond that, also food is pretty cheap. It's much less expensive to find sustenance while you're here. So yeah, that's also been a really pleasant surprise.
Yeah, another thing branching off of that is that everything costs a lot less here. So the currency here is called the Hungarian forint, and basically 1 forint equates to 36/100ths of a penny. So basically it's 270 forint equates to $1. So it's not very much at all. And so like you can go out for a meal, like we go to this restaurant called Max, it's like this little pizza place, and you can get a full meal, a full plate of spaghetti for $5. That's it. And so that's been really nice for us because you can live for a week like with food comfortably for like $10, $15. So that was really a pleasant surprise for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess even though like things have been a little tough, and it's been an adjustment, and it's still an adjustment period that we're going through for all of us. It's been super worth it for more than just cheap food. We've been able to create relationships with people from all over the world and experience Hungary with not only each other, but this other students here. We have friends from Ireland and Australia and Korea and Mozambique and just anywhere you could think of. And it's really cool to be doing something you love with so many people that love it just as much. And so it's been a really neat experience for all of us.
Okay, well, we've probably taken up enough of your time, so thanks for listening to us today, and we'll see you in a few months. Bye!
Bye!